You're too comfortable, and the worst part is, you don't even see the chains anymore. Comfort has wrapped itself around your life so tightly that you've started calling it peace, when in reality, it's the slow poison destroying your potential. You wake up every day repeating the same patterns, convincing yourself that you've got time, that the world owes you patience, that success will magically find you. But deep down, in the quiet corners of your mind, you know the truth: you are capable of more, yet you've accepted less. You've lowered your standards, silenced your hunger, and buried the fire that once made you dream like a warrior. Life isn't holding you back. People aren't stopping you. Your circumstances aren't locking the doors. The only prison you're sitting in is the one built from your excuses, your fears, your comfort. And if you don't break that cage now, comfort will turn into regret, and regret will turn into suffering. The world doesn't reward the talented, it rewards the relentless. It rewards the one who refuses to stay soft, refuses to be average, refuses to let temporary ease cost them a lifetime of greatness. This is your wake-up call. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. Because if you don't rise today, comfort will tighten its grip and destroy the future you're meant to build. Comfort is the silent killer of every great destiny, and most people never realize it until the damage is already done. It doesn't arrive with noise, warning, or aggression. It arrives wrapped in softness, disguised as rest, security, and taking it easy. Comfort feels warm, safe, and harmless, which is exactly why it's so dangerous. It fools you into believing you're doing fine when deep down, your potential is suffocating. You don't notice the decline because comfort destroys you slowly, gently, quietly, inch by inch, day by day, excuse by excuse. It doesn't break you in one moment. It wears you down until the person you were meant to become disappears inside the person you settled for being. Growth demands friction, challenges, discomfort, and pressure. Everything powerful in nature gains its strength through struggle. A diamond through pressure, a muscle through resistance, a warrior through battle. Yet humans cling to comfort as if it were a reward, when it's actually the barrier standing between where they are and where they know they should be. Every time you choose comfort, you choose stagnation. Every time you pick the easy path, you grow weaker. Every day you delay the work, discipline, and sacrifice required to transform your life. You reinforce the walls of the prison you've built with your own hands. The mistake people make is assuming that staying comfortable means staying the same. But comfort doesn't preserve you, it deteriorates you. The mind becomes dull, the ambition becomes quiet, the hunger becomes numb, the fire inside starts fading because you're not feeding it with challenges, risks, goals, and effort. Comfort kills potential faster than failure ever could. Failure at least teaches you, sharpens you, exposes your weaknesses, and pushes you to rise. But comfort keeps you in a repeating loop of empty satisfaction, convincing you that you're fine, while stealing the greatness you were meant to chase. And here's the brutal truth. Comfort always wins against the weak. It whispers, relax, you can do it later, and the weak obey. It whispers, you've done enough, and the weak listen. It whispers, don't push too hard, you deserve rest. And the weak surrender because comfort gives them permission to abandon responsibility. Comfort is seductive because it requires nothing from you. No discipline. No pressure, no sacrifice. It gives you a taste of temporary relief while demanding your entire future in return. You lose opportunities, chances, skills, habits, and time, all because you didn't want to feel a little discomfort in the moment. People say they want success, but their actions say they want comfort more. They want the result without the grind, the respect without the discipline, the breakthrough without the suffering. But life doesn't work that way. Growth is not something you can negotiate. You either earn it through discomfort or lose it to comfort. Every successful person you admire became who they are because they were willing to embrace discomfort daily. They showed up when they were tired. They pushed forward when they were scared. They practiced when others relaxed. They worked while others slept. They lived in the tension between where they were and where they wanted to be, and that tension forged them into something stronger, sharper, and unstoppable. Meanwhile, comfort chains people in mediocrity. It makes you rationalize why you're not improving. It helps you create justifications so you feel better about your lack of action. I'm stressed. I'll start tomorrow. I'll wait for motivation. I need to rest for my mental health. These are the lies comfort feeds your mind. Because comfort knows the moment you step into discipline, you break its hold over you. That's why comfort fights so aggressively when you try to change. The moment you start waking up early, comfort tempts you with the warmth of your bed. The moment you try to work on your goals, comfort distracts you with entertainment, laziness, and indulgence. The moment you try to build discipline, comfort whispers that you're pushing too hard. It attacks you the most right when you're closest to breaking free. You must understand this comfort is not neutral. It is not harmless. It is an enemy disguised as a friend. It destroys ambition. It weakens discipline. It steals time. It erases dreams. It stops you from growing and convinces you that staying average is enough. The truth is simple. Your progress dies the moment your excuses win. Every excuse strengthens comfort. Every action strengthens your future. The choice is always yours, and the results are always honest. If you lose to comfort today, you will lose to comfort for the rest of your life, until one day you wake up filled with regret and the realization that ease cost you everything you were meant to achieve. Comfort is easy now but painful later. Discipline is painful now but powerful for life. The moment you allow yourself to embrace discomfort, you become unstoppable. The moment you reject excuses, growth begins. The moment you decide you're done being held down by softness, your entire life changes. Comfort is the enemy of growth because it kills the hunger that makes transformation possible. And until you defeat comfort, you will never discover the strongest version of yourself that's waiting on the other side of discipline. Fear is the most silent form of slavery, and most people don't realize how deeply it controls their decisions, their actions, and the quality of their life. You weren't born weak. You weren't born hesitant. You weren't born scared of challenges, pressure, or struggle. Life didn't create that fear. Comfort did. Society did. Your own repeated surrender did. And over time, your fear of suffering became so familiar that you started protecting it instead of fighting it. You began shaping your life around avoiding pain rather than chasing greatness. You convinced yourself that discomfort is dangerous, that difficulty is a threat, that pressure is something to escape instead of something to embrace. And that single mindset has cost you more than any failure ever could. Most people do not live weak lives because they lack talent. They live weak lives because they are terrified of the temporary discomfort required to earn a powerful one. They fear sacrifice, so they sacrifice everything. They fear discipline, so they remain undisciplined. They fear judgment, so they never step forward. They fear pressure, so they never grow. They fear starting, so they never begin. They fear failing, so they never win. It's not that you can't become stronger, richer, smarter, or more capable. It's that your fear of suffering has made you tolerate a life far below your potential. You tolerate disrespect because you fear confrontation. You tolerate laziness because you fear responsibility. You tolerate mediocrity because you fear the intensity required to break it. You tolerate excuses because effort scares you. You tolerate a version of yourself that deep down you know is not even close to what you could be, because avoiding pain has become more important to you than building power. People talk about wanting success, discipline, confidence, and strength. They talk about wanting big goals, a new life, a new identity. But the moment the path becomes hard, they retreat. The moment things get uncomfortable, they run back to safety. They want the reward without the resistance. They want the transformation without the temporary suffering. They don't understand that suffering is not a punishment. It is the currency you pay to upgrade your life. Every strong person you admire, every voice that motivated you, every story that inspired you, they all walked through discomfort. They all chose to push through pain instead of escaping it. They all understood something that most people never learn: suffering is not the enemy. Surrender is. Your fear of suffering has created a weak relationship with yourself. You no longer trust your own potential because you haven't seen what you're capable of when you push past your limits. You haven't discovered your deeper strength because you've always stopped at the first sign of difficulty. You haven't experienced your peak power because you've always chosen the path of least resistance. So your mind begins to form a lie: I'm not capable. Not because it's true, but because you never give yourself the chance to prove it wrong. When you fear suffering, you lose opportunities because opportunities come disguised as challenges. You lose growth because growth comes disguised as struggle. You lose transformation because transformation comes disguised as pain. You lose respect, self-respect most of all, because respect is earned through discipline, not comfort. And slowly, your fear becomes your identity. You stop aiming high because you fear disappointment. You stop dreaming because you fear failure. You stop fighting because you fear difficulty. You stop believing because you fear hope itself. You settle into a life that's small, predictable, and safe, but also empty. The tragedy is that deep down, you know you're capable of 1,000 times more. You feel the dissatisfaction. You feel the frustration. You feel the quiet voice inside telling you to rise, to push, to stop allowing fear to dictate your path. But every time you ignore that voice, it gets weaker. Every time you choose fear, you strengthen the chains holding you down. Pain is temporary, but the suffering of an unlived life lasts forever. The truth is this: most of the suffering you fear exists only in your imagination. You imagine pain far greater than what reality would actually give you. You imagine judgment harsher than what people would truly say. You imagine failure more humiliating than what would actually happen. You scare yourself out of taking action, and in doing so, you suffer more from avoidance than you ever would from effort. Fear makes you live the same year again and again. Discomfort gives you a new year, a new identity, a new life. When you stop running from suffering, you discover something powerful. The fear is always worse than the pain. The anticipation is always worse than the experience. The moment you push through something you were afraid of, your mind changes. You become stronger, your tolerance grows, your confidence rises, and your fear shrinks. The more you walk into discomfort, the more fearless you become. The more you face difficulty, the more capable you feel. The more you confront the suffering you used to avoid, the more you realize it was never suffering, it was growth disguised as pain. You must understand something: life-changing discomfort is not your enemy, it is your gateway. Suffering is not the end, it is the beginning of mastery. Pressure is not a threat, it is the forge that shapes you. You do not avoid suffering to live a good life. You walk through it to build one. Until you stop letting fear dictate your decisions, you will live a life far beneath your potential. But the moment you choose courage over comfort, everything inside you begins to transform. Here is a powerful 4-paragraph conclusion that matches the tone, intensity, and emotional weight of your full speech. The truth is that life will never hand you the identity you dream of. It will only hand you the opportunities to become that person. And every one of those opportunities will be wrapped in discomfort, wrapped in pressure, wrapped in the kind of challenges that force you to confront who you currently are. Most people run from these moments, not realizing they're running from the very experiences designed to elevate them. You cannot escape discomfort and expect transformation. You cannot hide from suffering and expect strength. If you want a life worthy of respect, you must first become someone who refuses to bow to fear, who refuses to prioritize comfort over progress, who refuses to let temporary pain dictate a permanent destiny. This is where greatness begins, with the decision to stop running and start rising. Everything you want exists on the far side of discipline, and everything you fear exists on the far side of excuses. Your life will be defined by which side you choose to cross. If you choose excuses, you will remain trapped in the same patterns, carrying the same regrets, speaking the same empty promises year after year. But if you choose discipline, even in small doses, you will begin to see changes in your mindset, your habits, your confidence, and your power. The world respects the person who shows up for themselves, the person who keeps going when others stop, the person who chooses growth even when it hurts. You are capable of becoming that person: strong, hungry, focused, relentless. But capability is worthless without commitment. Strength is useless without action. Dreams are meaningless without sacrifice. You must understand that no one is coming to save you from your comfort, your fear, or your excuses. No one is going to force you to change. No one is going to drag you toward discipline. You are alone in that responsibility, and that's the most empowering truth you will ever learn. Because if your downfall has always been in your control, then your rise is too. Your entire life can shift the moment you decide you're finished settling, finished waiting, finished tolerating a weaker version of yourself. The moment you take ownership is the moment your chains begin to break. Discomfort becomes fuel. Fear becomes a compass. Discipline becomes your ally, and your old identity becomes a memory. This is your moment to draw a line between who you've been and who you're becoming. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready. Now, because the life you're capable of living is already waiting for you, but it will not wait forever. Time is moving whether you move or not. Opportunities are passing whether you act or not. Your future self is watching whether you rise or not. The question is not whether you can do this. You can. The question is whether you will. And the day you choose to step out of comfort, conquer fear, and embrace discipline is the day everything changes. This is your turning point. Claim it. Thank you for giving your time, your focus, and your energy to this message today. Your presence means more than you know. If this speech touched your heart, pushed your mindset, or reminded you of the power you carry within, then I'm grateful you were here. Remember, nothing changes until you do. Keep rising, keep fighting, and keep becoming the strongest version of yourself. Until next time, stay disciplined, stay hungry, and never settle for average. Thank you and goodbye.